Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. No. Keep coming back. It's a lot of information, that's for sure. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. My name is Jenna. I am PJ Kennedy's Director of Operations. I do all of their transaction work. Command and DocuSign are my babies. So they are pretty easy for me since I do it on a daily basis. Most of you guys are new, so you're probably not going to be doing these on a daily basis to start off. So you may need to come to these classes a couple of times just so that you can get the hang of it. But I will definitely go through everything. Today I'm focusing on opportunities, which is also called your transaction. So basically, you can't have an opportunity until you have a contact put it. And that was our class last week, the best ways to do that. So I'm going to start today about the distance. On doc. If I have time today, I can kind of dive into that a little bit. All right, so there's two ways to start your opportunity. First one is if you click on the red KW in the top left, it opens the screen so you can actually read this. I still don't even have all the icons memorized. But opportunities is the hand holding one. So you can come here and you create your opportunity up here in the right corner. All you have to fill in here is what has the red asterisk. But I always suggest put in more if you can. If you have that information, go ahead and put it in there. It just makes the transaction a little bit easier down the line. Okay. But the first thing that you need to do is decide if you're doing a listing or if you're doing a buyer. Landlords and tenants, we don't, that's for property management stuff. Okay, so I'm going to pretend like we're going to do a buyer. Then you have your client, which once you start typing their name, it auto-fills for you. So I think I'm in here. Yeah. Okay. And then if you have a co-buyer attached to your contact, meaning you've built that relationship between the two of them, you selected that they are a spouse or a child or a mother, whatever it is, it will automatically drop them in this down for you. Drop down menu, yeah. But obviously you can leave that blank if there's not a second party to this. And then you have your opportunity name. It automatically fills it for you. You don't have to keep it. You can change it to whatever works for you in your business. So it may take you a little bit to figure out what's going to work for you and how it's all going to look. So for buyers, for me, what we do is I have, if it's a husband and wife, I do like, John and Jane Kelly - buyer. And then once they get accepted in a contract, then I change it to the property address. So it'll still say John and Jane Kelly - 123 Main Street. Because sometimes your clients will do multiple properties, so you just want to distinguish which is which easily. For listings, I just started off because you already have a property address. I will then do John and Jane Kelly - 123 Main Street just off the get-go. Again, you guys do whatever you need to do. If you have tags, you can put them here. This is not a requirement. Again, it's more so just organizing how you do things. The tags that I do, just to kind of give you an idea, if it was a referral, someone sent me this person, I tag it as a referral. If it's land, I tag that one as well, just so I can keep those a little bit separate. And then I also have tags that say listing approved, under contract approved. Oh, I also have an investor one too, but so once the listing part of the opportunity is approved, I will mark that because that'll just show me I don't need to do anything else. I'm not waiting for anything else on that one. Same thing with under contract. So once we get to the next part, I will show you what I mean. And then budget would just be whatever they're pre-approved to, right? And then the commission rate. Now the commission is your percentage, right? If you represent the seller, the total the firm is going to be is 6%, 7%, 5%, whatever you guys decide, right? But you're not getting all of that. You're just getting the list side of it. So if it's 3 and 3, then you would put 3% here. That's going to be going to you. And obviously on the buyer, whatever, you don't know what the listing agent's making. So on the buyer side, 2.5, 3, 2, whatever it is, that's what you put here. So it's only what is coming to Keller Williams is what you need to put in this spot. Yeah. Sure. Have you? Yeah, and that's what you do. You just start typing their name and it should auto populate. So if you already have your contact, do you have somebody as a contact already in command? Okay, just pick somebody. We're just doing a test one, so it's not going to mess anything up. Yeah, you start typing the name and it'll bring them on the drop down. Good question now. All right, and then down at the bottom it says opportunity phase and opportunity stage. Yours probably says something different than what mine does. I have renamed our stages to work for how we run our business. You guys have default ones on there, think escrow and something that, you know, that's just terminology that we don't necessarily use here. And you can keep it that way, or you can change them to what works for you. You can change them later. You don't have to change them from the get-go. But do what? Right. So yeah. So yeah, on phase, you have cultivate, appointment, or active. Because when you start a buyer agreement or a buyer opportunity, you should not be able to check the box under contract because you have to have paperwork done before you go into contract, right? You gotta have your work real estate agent and your buyer agency agreement done. But you have more phases. So if you look here for a buyer, you have cultivate, appointment, under contract, and close. Under each one of these, you have stages. What does y'all's currently say? You don't have any? Did you select a buyer or a listing up at the top? Under the create opportunity button? Yeah, you've got to pick because it won't let you have to figure out which list. Do you need the listing side one or do you need the buyer side one? So as long as you have one of those selected, it'll put the drop down.
Those phases are
yeah.
If you select from buyer and you go to seller or whatever it's called in there, then it'll give you different opportunity phases there. It's just like each one has its own sub phase.
Right. Because there's going to be different paperwork. Yep. Perfect. Yep. So under cultivate, I have 12 months out, 3 to 12 months, and then 0 to 3 months. Yes. Sure. So the screen, if you're right here, click. Why can't I talk today? Click on opportunities and it brings you to the listings and the buyers. Listings will always be green. Buyers will always be this reddish orange hue, whatever it is. And I just clicked on the buyer cultivate button. Oh. Yep. And that brings me to the stages that I created. What does yours say? Watch, nurture, hot. Okay, perfect. And you can keep them that way. You don't have to change them. However, if you do want to play with that and change them, up here in the top right, you see stages and checklists. This is how you can change the stage names. Okay. You can't change phase. So cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and close. You can't touch those. You can touch things underneath them and change those. Okay. And this is organized for transactions. And to make sure that are in the right state of their buying process, call it. And say for instance, if you organize, we're doing this in the right way. Yeah. Basically, it's your opportunity for business. That's why they use that word, but it's basically your transaction. So once you have a client, they've signed their buyer agency, work with real estate agents, and you're now going to show houses. That's what you should start your opportunity sooner than that, to just kind of go through the process. That's why we have the cultivate. So you say somebody just gave you a friend, hey, I know somebody who's just trying to, might be buying a house here shortly, and they give you their contact information. You put the contact in there, fill up as much as you can, then you're going to create an opportunity, and they will be at the very beginning under cultivate, and you're watching them. And then once you contact them, then you want to go to nurture. We've had a conversation. They're not necessarily ready to buy right now, but I'm nurturing them, going through that stage. And then once they're kind of, just about ready to go, let's watch it, set the appointment, and then you would move it to the appointment, and so on and so on. Does that make sense?
I think so. So
Yeah.
that's all have done your buyer information.
Correct. Yeah.
As
That,
soon as you get like contact for someone,
Yeah, this
think that they're gonna be on the market.
yeah, it definitely organized. If you're somebody who needs that or enjoys that, this is perfect for you.
Smart.
Yep, sure does. So under each of these things, like I said, you can add, remove stage names. If you don't want any stages in Cultivate except for just one, you can do that. You would just delete the other two. Or if you want 12 stages, you can do that too. Whatever you want to do, you just add or edit whatever you need to do. Now, under each, did you have a question? Yeah. Sure. So you created your opportunity? Okay, go ahead and save that. Yeah, it does. Yeah, pick one. Doesn't really matter right now. Yeah, and like I said, just put a number. We're just playing around with this one. This one isn't going to be something that you're actually going to use. Hey, do you have an empty spot? Buyer, you gotta pick a client. Do you have contacts in there? There you go. Yeah, that's fine. Pick whoever you want. Okay, outside the page. There you go. Perfect, perfect. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you up to the left, you should see a back button on almost every screen that you have. And it will bring you back, if you click it enough times, it will bring you back to this list. Have your listings and buyers. So the one good thing about creating an opportunity sooner than later is you see these numbers down here. This shows your probability of how much money you're going to make. If everything closes that's in here, you're going to make 1.89 million, according to mine. But we know that doesn't always happen that way. Otherwise, we'd all be millionaires, right? And it does the same for the buyers too. Okay, and that's why it's important to make sure you have enough information in here so that the system can calculate your probability of these things closing. Okay. Also where your timeline in your opportunity matters. So I'm gonna click on one of my active ones. I don't know who any of these people are. This is my agent stuff. But once you click on an opportunity, let me go back real quick because I want to just show you this. So these, I call them business cards. That's what they look like to me, to be honest, right? But you can move it this way once they're ready to go to the next stage. Just click and slide, right? Right? And then if you're at preparing offer and you've just moved so fast that you don't need to go these other stages, you can drag and go all the way to under contract. Or go wherever you want to go. But you can, yeah, you literally just click and. Yep, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just, again, doesn't matter where. Yeah, or whatever stage you're in. If you go back to cultivate.
And remember, your account was different because she edited her stage.
True, yes.
Oh, wait.
So her say 12 months out, 3 to 12 months out, 3 months out, yours will say something different unless you want to change. Right.
Nurture and hot. Perfect. Yep.
Do you invented the other categories?
I changed them. Yeah. So up
They're
here,
not the same categories, technically. She changed the name.
You just renamed one for
Yeah, see that little edit thing, stages and checklists.
yeah.
Change.
And another reason why I changed the names of them is because I've also created checklists for every section. Okay. So when you're in here, you guys see this right here, these numbers. This one says 002, 202. Under mine, if you click on it, so this would technically be your watched section, okay? The tasks that we need in here, we need to get their phone number, their email, and current address, and I need to add them to the future buyer smart plan. Okay? No, you can create your own checklist for each stage. Now, I'm getting pretty far into this, so you don't have to have checklists. If you need them or want them, take the time to do them because in the long run, it will help you. But you'll do them up here, the same place where you change the stages, right? You see the checklist right here? You can change them here. You can add a task, remove a task, move it, whatever you need to. And I have this for every stage and every phase, different, whatever that section is. So like the first one is just pretty much gather the information and put them on a drip campaign, right? Just to stay, we're working them kind of behind the scenes. We're not calling them every day or anything like that, right? And see, this is where the probabilities come into, what's the word I'm looking for? Decide how much you could make, your probability of making money. And so if you get to move to the next stage, there's a 7%. And this checklist says, do a follow-up call, send out a mailer, postcard, or letter, or something like that, and do a call to action. So a call to action, you guys might have heard this term in Ignite, but a call to action is pretty much making them have to do something, right? So, I mean, that could be anything, and I don't know why I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now, but yeah, I mean, yeah, give me a call back, let me, whatever it is, but just giving them something that's on their plate that they have to do in order to, do something else for buying a house, whatever that is. Or if you set them up, say you set them up on a matrix search or whatever in the MLS, just make sure you open the welcome email. Otherwise, you're not going to see any houses, so they have to open that, something like that. Yeah.
I wouldn't ask many questions, but I feel like we're
No, you're fine.
on the same page.
Yeah, you're fine.
So are there templates for these checklists, or is there like a walkthrough of like, okay, you're here and now you have to get these XYZ contracts together to hand them, and then like the follow through of like the steps legally need to take for the client?
So yeah, I'm gonna dive.
You have to meet
Yep,
them.
I'm gonna dive into that. Yep,
Okay.
we're gonna get there for
That is your
sure.
checklist.
That's a later phase. But
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
your checklists are just like, I would like to have called them twice and sent them a postcard, so I'm gonna put that here.
basically, so then once you have an appointment or you're about to set an appointment to go actually meet them and have paperwork signed and go through everything, then that's when I would move them to appointment. And this says that I've scheduled an appointment. I went to the meeting, but they didn't sign for whatever reason. It can be, I don't want to sign right now. We'll do this in another couple of weeks, or I want to do it electronically. So just send it to me whenever you get back, blah, 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 whatever it is. Held, but they didn't sign. And then if they signed, they would go to this. They would actually skip that section and go there.
Did you make up that?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you can absolutely change it later. Yeah, because for buyers, and that's the thing too, especially with all the new rules with compensation, we have no idea how much money we're going to make, if any at all, to be quite honest. Yeah, that's what I do. I just do 3%. You can do 2.5% every time. It's totally up to you, but you can change it later. Once you go under contract and you know exactly what you're going to make, you can go back and change it.
clients gets involved.
Yeah, you're good.
No, this is just to mark that you're doing those steps.
Yeah, this is basically just tracking for your deal, your client.
Appointments you would schedule us on your own kind of thing, and then after appointment, if they want to work with you, that's when you'd go back in here and start doing the forms.
Okay. And again, I don't know what y'all say under appointment, but I know it's different headers there, and I have different checklists there too. And then same with active, we're doing the showings, and now we're preparing an offer. Offers accepted. I can't delete this. It won't let me delete it. I don't need that. I don't know why. And then under contract, I have in the first 5 days, they need to do these things. And obviously, as I get farther down, these checklists get bigger and bigger. The first 5 days of going under contract, there's a lot of stuff that need to be done. Lender needs paperwork, attorney needs paperwork. You got to schedule your closing. You got to schedule inspections. You got to make sure the earnest money and the due diligence funds have been sent out and that they've been received. All these things, right?
That was fun.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So on this one, this is a new construction. I'm not even gonna do that one. It's a new construction. All right. So this guy, right? He's in his first 5 days. Here's his checklist. I send a welcome email. And that just says, send your money here. We're going to do an inspection. Just kind of doing a brief synopsis of everything. Make sure they send their earnest money and due diligence. I complete the commissions tab. Add your closing to your calendar. Order home inspection, order a home warranty. Complete the KW disclosures, stuff specific for this office. Complete the professional services disclosure. Fill out the attorney's worksheet, and now move it to due diligence period. And then you would check the boxes over here once they've been done, which I've done a lot of these. I just haven't checked the boxes. Okay, and then you go to the next one. Those are also new construction. This one's not. So this one has 16 or 26 steps total under contract. Sorry. Under contract is all of these. This is just the due diligence period. There's only 16 here. I just need to clarify that. So these are the first 5 days. We already did all those. So I'm gonna close that. So now we're in the due diligence period. This says current stage. This is where we're at. So these are all the steps that need to be done. Now, if you want copies of my list, just email me and I'll send it to you. Okay. This has all of those. Okay. Yeah, the checklist for opportunities. All right, so now that we're done talking about all those stages, let's go into the actual opportunity. So once you have an address for a buyer, right now we're talking only about buyers, okay? For a buyer, when you click on the card and you go in it, this little pencil, that's what it is. This is where it's kind of like a larger version of our short create opportunity. A lot of the same things are on here, but there's additional stuff as well. Yeah, click on the contact you created, the business card. Yeah, click on the little business card and it should bring you to that screen, and just click on the pencil right by key information. Okay. All right, so you can also change the phases and stages here if you need to. Okay, and this is where you can put in your dates. I find this helpful as well, because this also helps you can do reports on yourself to see how quickly you can make appointments, quickly how people can sign. So putting these dates in here are going to be very helpful as well. So you just put the date when you scheduled the appointment, when you went on the appointment, and when they signed the appointment. And then obviously when you go under contract, and then the close date, which you won't have those until you have a contract. So those would just stay blank until that time. And then so let's say his budget was 600,000, but he went under contract for 590. That's when I would change that to match what's on the contract. Okay. And then you can also change the commission rate. I've already submitted my commission page, so it's not gonna let me change it now. But that's where you do that. And then how are they paying for this? Cash, VA, FHA, conventional, whatever, that you would just pick it from that drop down there. Now, all of these other things you can put in here to keep yourself organized. We don't do that. I have a different way of doing it for my team, but you absolutely can use this to your advantage too, to remember when some things are, right? Or if you need to go back and see when did we actually do this, you have the date on here so you can look back at it too. No, no. So the checklist, let me see if I can explain this right. So the checklists, which are these will show up on your task page. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you would have to add the due date on it, which you can do.
That's going there with the icon on the left.
So like the day that you created it, show up that day.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I don't think they don't have any in when they first start, right? The checklist. There is not a checklist.
So
Okay.
check.
No, when you're in the opportunity, like these tasks, these checklists, they don't come standard, right? I don't think so either.
So,
Yeah. That's how I remember it too, but it's been 5-6 years since I've done it. So they keep changing things on me. Okay, so that was the detail section over here. And you get a snapshot of it when you scroll down. You got everything that you put in there. And then once you have the property address, please put it in here. I will explain why that's very important. A lot of people leave this blank. Don't do that. It's going to make it difficult for you to search for your opportunity when you have hundreds and hundreds of opportunities. Having that address in there is going to be very beneficial to you. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about the documents tab. This is where we're going to spend the majority of our time here. So when you first open it, over here on the left-hand side, it probably says like pick a checklist or something, right? So if you click on that, if you're in the buyer one, it has different buyer options. You've got your South Carolina sale file, which is a South Carolina buyer, North Carolina sale file, if you North Carolina buyer, and then you've got your new construction for each state, buyer referral, commercial land, blah, blah, blah. You're basically going to be using the North Carolina sale file the majority of the time. And if you're licensed in both states, then depending on where you do most of your business. It is very important for you to pick this list and to not change it after the fact, because you will lose a bunch of stuff if you change it afterwards. So make sure that you're picking the right one. Okay. Once you have physical paperwork done, well, or DocuSign paperwork, once you have signatures on something, this is when you need to move to the documents section, and this is where you're going to save your paperwork. Okay. So this one is a South Carolina one, so the verbiage might be a little bit different from you guys. Actually, let me see if I have a North Carolina one, just so we're all on the same page here. Nope. All right, we'll just go back to my test one. That's fine. Okay. So you have your North Carolina sale file, and on the left-hand side, you've got consultation. So when you have your consultation, or your buyer presentation, whatever you want to call it, that's when you get your working with real estate agents signed and your buyer agency agreement. Okay. So this is where you add your paperwork for compliance. So under consultation, you'll see the button here, requirement. If you click on it, it puts all of the required stuff at the top for you. There are other optional things because there's always going to be exceptions to the rules. So if you do this, then you need this kind of situation. Okay. If you do your paperwork in DocuSign, which we're not going to go into that today, but if you do your paperwork in DocuSign, you can pull them from the drop down here. I personally don't ever do that. Even if it's in DocuSign, I don't pull it from DocuSign. And here is why. Once you have a ton of stuff, it's hard to filter what's what. And I'll show you real quick what I'm talking about. Let me go back to, all right, we're just gonna look at this real quick. I know this is South Carolina, but it's the same thing. So if you go here and you're in DocuSign and you're picking from the drop down, look at all this stuff. It's just going to take you a long time to find the right one. If you want to take the time to do that, that's fine. I like to work fast. I have a lot of stuff I got to do. I don't want to try and read every single thing in here to find the right thing that's supposed to go in this slot. So that's personally me. With that being said, if the documents are in DocuSign, I just print them out as a PDF and attach them as a PDF. Okay.
A document that has like a file, document file to your browse.
It's probably, do you have the start a transaction button up here? It right here, does it say start a transaction, not go to transaction?
Yes.
Okay, and that's why. And it's fine. It's just because you haven't opened the DocuSign room. We're not going to get in that. You can, but I'm not getting into that today. But you will have your drop down here. So if you do want to do the PDF way that I do it, just select my computer, and then you have, which is what you have right now, where it says drop your file here, browse. That is the when you add it as a PDF. So once you start your DocuSign room, then that's when all that stuff will show up for you.
And so you always like kind of save it off your desktop.
Basically, yeah. And a lot of times too, I have my agents copy me on all of their DocuSign stuff. So when I see that something is completed, I'll get an email and the PDFs are usually attached to that. So I just pull them from my email and put them in here.
So when you send them the PDF, roll it through DocuSign for signatures.
Yeah, DocuSign handles all of that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is the consultation stage. I'm going back to my North Carolina one real quick. Okay, so this is your consultation. So again, this is where you put your working with real estate agents once it's signed and your buyer agency once it's signed. Okay. Now let's say you've gone under contract. Actually, first, once you have those, hit the submit button. Okay. So that will send to Carla. I don't know if you've heard her name before, but she does all of our compliance for the office. She actually lives in Ohio, I think. But she is the one who checks this and lets you know when you messed up. Happens all the time. Don't ever feel any weird when you get it. When you get an email that says file rejected, it's fine. You probably left off an initial or you forgot to get their address, whatever it is. It's petty things and you can put it back in there very easily. It's not a problem. Yeah, yeah. And I'm going to show you one of those when she actually like leaves you a note. So when you're under contract, the list is a lot longer. Okay. A lot of them are conditional or optional. But again, just hit this requirement button. It'll put all of the ones that are required up here. That way you at least know initially what needs to be done. And this is stuff that you probably know. There's your compensation form that has to be done. The contract, you're going to have a receipt for the money that goes out. Copy of the MLS sheet, the property disclosure, the mineral and gas. Like these are all things that they go with every transaction, right? So this is where you just upload those. Okay. Now, closed is the same concept. You usually only need the closing disclosure. Sometimes you need some other stuff, but that's the one that's definitely required. Once all three of these say approved, then you can get paid. Okay. Now I'm going to go back here because I know this one got rejected because I'm waiting for something. All right. So it says returned here. My consultation's approved. That's good. But this got kicked back because of something. I already know what it is. I need a receipt. But see, she approved each of these forms. I can go back to approved, approved, approved. I'm missing the receipt for the earnest money. Okay. So it'll tell you what's missing. And then the professional services disclosure is also missing. So it'll tell you. And I'm trying to see if I have one that shows a note. So you can see that. I gotta try and remember. It was this one. I don't know where it was, but if there was a note, like ones I just showed you is just the document itself was missing. I just don't have that specific document. If there's something wrong with the document that you uploaded, there'll be a little box right here. You hover over it, it will tell you what's wrong with that document. Okay. But I gotta see if I have one. I'm too anal about my stuff, so I have to. I don't think I have one. But anyway, that's how you do it. Okay. Also, on the left-hand side, you see where it says custom folders and add new custom folder? I always create a folder called miscellaneous. What I add here is anything that doesn't require signatures but is important to this deal. Examples: pre-approval letter, home inspection report, copy of the home warranty, any bills, any invoices of any kind, anything that doesn't have your client's signature on it, but it's important, that's what I do here. Okay. And I just add them. So this is the home inspection report. This is the pre-approval. So I have copies of those. So if I need to come back at some point, I've got them all in one area. Okay. All right. Any questions about this section? Yeah.
In the list of documents to attach.
Uh-huh.
There was like not uploaded required, and then I
Yeah.
clicked on the hyperlink next to the PDF that underlines the name of the document.
Uh-huh.
And I opened it, saved it, and then put it in as a file, and then I was doing it to the next one, but it doesn't have a hyperlink.
You're not gonna, that's just to see what you're looking at.
Yeah, this is just an example.
Yeah, don't use those as ones that you're gonna send in docs.
Yeah, all paperwork is going to be done through DocuSign. Which I'm doing next week, and I'll show you guys how to do that. This right here, this list, this is document ones that have links, is just showing you what the document looks like and what needs to be done. So
So we shouldn't say
No.
that
No,
copy of it?
no, no,
Okay.
the only documents you need to save are the ones with signatures on it. And again, like I said, we'll do those next week. But this just tells you what the document is and how it should read. That's why not all of them have a hyperlink.
You did it all that way, it would take you forever.
Yeah,
So let's say once you closed on a property.
Yep.
You're supposed to save everything for 3 years. How do you save everything?
so that's what this is for.
Oh.
Everything is saved here. And that's why I also have the miscellaneous section, because there are going to be documents with every deal that you do that's not necessarily required in order for you to get paid, but is important to that transaction. Like a home inspection is very important. An invoice from an HVAC guy, that's important because it tells you the scope of the work that was done. So that's why I have that, so that everything is in one location. And as long as you're here at Keller Williams, it's saved. You're good to go. Okay. All right, what else? Any other questions? All right, I'm going to show you how to submit your commission. I have to go to PJ's to do that. Okay, this one. All right, so offers and commissions tab. So we've done details, we've done documents. Now we're going to go to offers and commissions. Okay, yours doesn't look like this. Yours should say offer. Yeah. So you would just, let me go into a blank one. Sorry, I'm switching back and forth, but I'm trying to just. Okay, so it says add new offer, right? Okay, if you click on that, then you're just, again, just going to put in the pertinent information of that offer, which is the property address. What type of property is it? Residential or land, those are the two you're going to do. And then it will say what kind of classification, is it a resale, new home, blah, 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 blah. And it says here pre-approved or pre-qualified. You should not be writing an offer if you have a pre-qual. That means they are not approved for the loan, at least not yet. You guys know the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification? Pre-qualification is just the person saying, I make this much money and I have this much debt. Pre-approval, they actually have documentation to support it. That's the basic, right? Okay, so, and on a listing side, if you guys have a listing and you're getting an offer and they send you a pre-qualification, pause, I need a pre-approval first. And you just let the buyer's agent know, I need a pre-approval, not a pre-qualification. And that's going to protect your seller. Okay. All right. So it should automatically put in your client's names, and then it should have your name under buyer's agent representation. Okay, and then you would put the seller's name. I don't ever do a co-seller. Again, I just put like John and Jane Doe. I don't add another button. You can. And then the seller's name or seller agent's name. Okay, and then you put the sales price. Sales price is what you have written on your offer as the purchase price. Okay, and then if they're paying cash, just write that amount. It should equal that. So say it's $100,000 purchase price. They're paying $100,000 in cash. Put that there. Okay, and if they're financing, okay, why is it not lighting up? I don't know why it's not lighting up, but it should default to financing 100,000. But if they are doing cash, you can do that. Don't try and do the math. I don't know if the best way to say it. So if they're conventional loan, it's usually like 97% of the purchase price. Well, don't do math. Don't do math. It's not needed. If they're paying cash, just put $100,000 cash. If they're financing, just put $100,000 financing. Don't try and split them up and say 3% is going to be cash and 90, don't do all that. You don't have to. That's a waste of time. Okay. And then do what? Say that again. The purchase price. Yeah. It might just do one or the other. If they're paying cash, or do financing, just one or the other. All right, then the earnest money amount. Okay. And then contract date and close date. Simple enough. And the contract date will always be the date the last person signed the contract. All right. The contract date is the last day that someone signed. So if your buyer signed it yesterday, but the seller signed it today, today's the contract date. Okay. All right. I don't add any of these contingencies. It doesn't matter in order for us to get paid. So I don't fill it out. And again, I'm all about saving time. If I don't have to do it, I'm not going to do it. My agents have never not got paid because I didn't fill this out. So don't even bother. Nope, right here, the contingency section. Add a contingency. Yeah, the one you see most often is they have to sell a house in order to buy. That's the biggest contingency basically, but nope. This section right here, your clients are never going to see it. This is specifically between you and Keller Williams. That's it. So any of that other information doesn't matter. Okay. All right, and then you're gonna hit create and accept an offer. I'm scared to do that, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Oh, it won't let me do it. All right, let me go back to where I was, sorry. Okay, so your screen should look like this now, right? Well, sort of. It says submit on the right side, not request termination. All right. So lucky for y'all only have one agent, yourself. So you only have to do this one time, okay? My agents, they have to be split with the team, right? So I have to put both their information. But you basically just have to you're getting the full unit, so you'd put a 1 there. And it will calculate for you. And then over here on the right-hand side, it will show your breakdown. The commission amount, your company commission, so that's the KWB percentage you're paying. Royalty is the upper management, Keller Williams, right? And then if you take anything out for nonprofits, KW Cares or anything like that, that would show up there. And then it will tell you what your payout is going to be. So that's what's cool here is you can go ahead and see once this closes how much is going to be in your pocket. So the good thing is if you're on a team, you don't do this. I do it. Their admin does it. You don't fill that out. If you're on a team, what you're paying, and I can't speak for all teams, most teams, you don't have to do any of this that I showed you today. the most you might have to do is just create the opportunity, make sure the contact's in there, and then your admin should take over from there. Now you would have to do the DocuSign stuff, send a contract for them to sign, all that kind of stuff. But submitting for compliance, doing your commission, that will not be your responsibility. Okay, that's part of what you pay for when you're on a team. All right, and then you would hit your submit button, and that's that. Now, again, this could get kicked back for whatever reason. Just fix it. A lot of people freak out. Oh my God, I screwed up. No, everything in real estate's fixable. Everything. Okay. All right. Any other questions about any of this? Do you want me to go over anything again that I already talked about? Okay. All right. Do you guys want me to do a little bit of DocuSign since we have a few more minutes? Anybody interested? Okay. That's what most people want to hear about anyway.
We're gonna mess up our system putting like money in here, so.
No, you won't, because you can't delete anything. I'll put it that way, but you can archive it, right? So, listen, because I've taught so many classes over the years, I have probably over 100 different test opportunities in here. So, don't worry about it. All right. So up here, let me just show you guys this real quick. Yours should be, you don't have the Kennedy Homes of Carolinas ones, but you should have your name, all opportunities, all discussions. You guys see those 3 up there? Not discussion, okay. That's fine. You don't need that. I don't ever use it anyway. So if you click on all opportunities, okay, obviously you guys don't have as many as shown on here. However, this is what your list is going to look like. This is everything. They usually put the what's at the top is the most recent one you've made changes to, whether it was adding a document, fixing something, whatever it is. That's kind of how they do this. But remember how I told you before to make sure you put the address in once you have it? You can search by address here. So when you guys do end up having hundreds and hundreds of deals, you want to be able to say, oh, that property address, because you're probably going to remember property addresses, right? Along with the people. But if you can remember the address and you can't remember their last name, you can type it in here and it will show up for you. So you can see here, these are the ones with all the addresses. These don't yet. And it tells you what phase they're in. So this is more of a list view, right? Instead of having those business card views. So if you prefer to do it this, you have the option to do that as well. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do Jason Hamilton's deal. It's PJ's best friend. Buying a house. All right. So to get to DocuSign, you're going to click into the business card. You're going to click on documents, and then you're going to go over to the right-hand side where it says either start a transaction or go to transaction. If you've never been in the DocuSign for that deal, it's going to say start a transaction. And then you'll click there and it'll bring you to DocuSign. The biggest thing that I want to tell you guys here about just getting into DocuSign, Keller Williams has their own version of DocuSign. You can't just go to DocuSign.com and put in your information and you're going to see every deal. You won't, because that's not the Keller Williams version. Okay? So whenever you're doing DocuSign, just make sure you go through command to get to that version. Keller Williams version is called rooms. You guys have probably heard people say, you know, create a room or whatever. All right, let's see if it'll let me log in this time. Yeah, so when you're in the business card, there's a tab there's one called details and one called documents. Are you there? Yep, click that. I don't know why I can never remember passwords.
And then you click go to transaction.
Yes.
to get the DocuSign.
Yep. Hold on, I gotta remember. And you gotta, if you haven't set up your DocuSign account,
Make sure your pop-up window is off.
yeah, that too. But if you haven't connected your DocuSign to command it won't open for you either. All right, so when you get into DocuSign, there's already going to be a bunch of forms downloaded for you. It is very overwhelming. I totally understand. I do not like the way they do this. They are putting everything, all your optional forms, your conditional forms, required, it's all in here. It's too much for me. I don't like it. So honestly, when I go in here, the first thing I do is archive a bunch of documents that I don't need. And I only leave the required ones. Now, granted, it might take you a long time to do that since you don't know everything yet. Okay, so do what you want with it. But basically, you kind of want to run simultaneous from your list here, okay, and the required forms here with what you need in documents and DocuSign, okay? Because everything on this list is in there, okay, but you only need these red ones to start off, these required ones, right? So basically, to go under contract, what are the forms that you have to have? Oh, you should already have that done when you're going under contract. I'm just talking about when you write an offer to purchase. Yep, our code. So the basic four that you need is your compensation, because you need to know what you're getting paid, right? That should always be number one. You guys don't work for free, right? So make sure you have your compensation form done, filled out. And you can do that without talking to the other agent, because your compensation is also part of negotiations. Now, good practice is to call the listing agent ahead of time and say, hey, text them, hey, are they offering? What are they offering for the buyer's agent, blah, blah, blah. And they can tell you. That way, when you write your offer and they tell you it's 2.5, you can go ahead and put 2.5 on there. But if you can't get a hold of them or whatever, and you want to get this offer in, blah, blah, just put in 3%. The compensation form, yeah. Just put in 3%. Because again, it's part of your negotiations, just like an offer. You can offer 500,000 and it's listed for 600,000. They're going to come back and say, no, right? They can do the same thing for compensation, right? No. The only things that pull from command to DocuSign are your client names, contact information, and phone. That's it. Yeah. Possibly. Now, it simply depends. Now, also the buyer.
Telling your buyer, hey, I'm gonna fight for help.
Well, yeah, because they should, because they should be signing that compensation form anyway. Like, they don't have to, but they should. Okay, I'll put it that way. Your client.
Okay, so if you work out your client at 2%, and then the listing agent says 2%,
So
you talk to your client, say, I'm gonna put 3%, and if they say no, we'll go back, and then they say,
Yeah.
don't do that because we're gonna.
yeah, it's really however you want to do it. Now, if the house is listed for 600,000 and your client wants to offer 650, you might be okay taking 2% because they're offering $50,000 more because you're in a bidding war or whatever. So you've got to weigh everything, right? That just like earnest money, due diligence, all of that stuff is negotiable. Closing date, due diligence period, all of those things are negotiable. So each deal is definitely going to be different, and the way you negotiate is going to be different. Also, depending on who the listing agent is, your negotiations may be different. You get a good agent, you're probably good. Absolutely. And the way the, yeah, and the way your buyer agency reads, if the seller's paying you 2%, your buyer's supposed to pay the 1%.
Oh, so if they only, so that means like, hey, you have to cover this 1% because they're not, because you signed 3%.
Right.
So you're gonna get your 3%.
It's up to you, right? Now, we,
If they're okay with it.
Yeah.
Something you have to agree with them.
and if they're getting a loan, you have to check with the lender as well, because that's going to affect their closing costs. So, and that's, and again, that goes back to how you want to deal with your client. Even if you put 3% on your buyer agency and you're only getting 2% from the seller, you can adjust your buyer agency to match the 2%, and then your buyer doesn't owe anything. You can do that. You just can't go the other way. You can't put 2% and get 3%.
Right.
Right? But you can go the opposite. So that's why I always say put higher on the buyer agency, because you can always go down. Okay.
So we can go back and change
Mhm.
it on the buyer's agency.
Yep.
We don't pay 2%.
Right. Then you go back, because the way your buyer agency reads, you're owed that 3%.
Then we have to send it.
Yes. Yep. And you don't have to change your buyer agency until your offer is executed and agreed upon. All parties have signed. Once that's fully executed, then you go back to your buyer agency, because you can be in a bidding or going back and forth negotiations for days. That is a possibility. If you don't want to go ahead and change your buyer agency now, if you end up negotiating it and you actually end up getting more, because you can't go back and change your buyer agency to go back. So don't change anything on the buyer agency until you solidify your contract. Make sense? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So look here. So if you create your opportunity, get it a buyer, right?
I did want to.
Okay. So you have one buyer here and you have 3 sellers here.
Right.
So you can either click on that, see you have 0, 0, you don't have anything in these, right? So there's nothing there.
That's weird.
Mhm.
No, I did not. I got that.
You can still get to DocuSign from Cultivate. Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I.
Yeah. So if you click, go ahead and click on that. There's your card. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question. So I'm looking at this in command.
Mhm.
I have.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
And the numbers are gonna be what they're gonna
Yeah. The numbers are more important than the actual verbiage. Yeah.
But where do you see the number?
So
Cause it just says, sorry.
No, you're fine. No, you're
So
fine.
it says here, like, required,
Check out.
Right.
but there's no,
So just keep
and then
the,
I go here, and I'm like, okay, that's, this one.
Mhm. Right. Can you go back to command real quick?
So I'm wondering why it's called that, if that's not it.
Your list actually looks a little bit different than mine, and that doesn't mean anything. No, and that's, oh, because you, oh, yeah, so residential NC, that, we don't use that. Ours says NC sale, because they changed the name. Hers says
Oh.
residential NC, ours says NC sale.
Oh, wait, so maybe this is the old one that I was playing with.
From your old brokerage?
Just all the going.
Yeah, that's probably it. That's why your list don't look right. Ours does have the numbers on them in the list. I was like, oh my gosh, they just changed everything again.
I did, one of these.
And so pretty much next week, we'll kind of go straight from here and go further. So the first Mondays are contacts. So I go over how to maximize Yes, oh my gosh, thank you. People want to shuffle minute. It's always on Tuesday. So the first Tuesday of the month, I go over contacts and smart plans and how to stay in touch with your client behind the scenes. And then this is the second week, so the opportunity, third week is about. The fourth week is. And it's usually. Everyone, yep.
And then what do I need to do?
That's fine. And honestly, I think most people should, because there's no way you can get everything part-time. There's so much. Yeah, there's so much.